yet.
No. CTA? Thank you. PTA. Henry, would you like to join us?
We do the crowd. So, we made it, and I'm just here to learn. And I want to say thank you to all of you for your roles that you've taken on throughout this last school year. My daughter, my son, and I went to graduation. We got to see you all at work. It's really fun for us and for me to see all the different things that you guys do besides with us. And thank you for the opportunity to serve as Executive Vice President. Our roles will continue at least through the next year as they are right now. Get her started early. Secretary, I think, is where she's right away and got to work. So that's it. This is your agenda, not mine.
Thank you for all the work this year.
Thank you
Also,
for all
Thanks.
the work you personally and
Thanks.
does for all the kids.
We have a good time. Somehow. I don't know how it happens.
Rave reviews from people out in the community as well. So.
Sure. Although now she's thinking like, what do we do here? But this has been a great learning experience this year for all of us, and we take the lead from a lot of you. We appreciate that, and just ready to find out. Enjoy your summer. All right. Thank you.
Anything from CPAC this evening or help?
So staffing report, Jessica Murphy did read her contract, was the one that special ed that we approved at the last meeting, so she is scheduled to start on July 1st officially. She will be joining our admin team on Wednesday as we have our kind of end of year, beginning of summer admin meetings on Wednesday. Caitlin Shaughnessy has been hired as a replacement for grade 7 math teacher, and Phil Butler has also been hired already as a CHS math teacher for that as a replacement position as well. I did include a little press release I gave just with meeting. I figured we should leave those changes out. All right, the next thing in here is the ESSA federal grant program monitoring. This is just kind of like an FYI for you, but this is just one of those things that all the federal grants we get come with very specific requirements. Certain things are certification, some things are reaching out to private schools where Clinton residents might attend. There's also how you use funds, all that kind of stuff. So we had to do our grant monitoring for Title I, Title IIA, and Title IVA this year. So I handle this. I typically write those grants, and we were found in compliance, having fulfilled all those requirements with no required action. So just sort of an update on that. The next report in here is the Special Education Integrated Monitoring Report. I already shared a preliminary version of this with you guys. I made like sort of a summary chart. This is just the official one from the state on the special education report we had. Everything was found to be implemented. All the civil rights were implemented. Almost all the special ed. There were two that were partially implemented. That were Special Ed Indicator 9 and 18B. Both of those had to do with timelines. So this is part of our corrective action. We'll be doing some professional development in the beginning of the year just to focus on tightening up our timelines. And one of those actually is related to a sort of interpretation, recent change to interpretation of timeline as well that a lot of districts are working with. So we will address that. Other than that, it was a very clean report. CMS building project updates. So there's some thoughts in here for the groundbreaking ceremony. Right now it's scheduled for September 5th from 11 to 12. We had to work with the MSBA to schedule that, and we kind of they wanted to sort of do it right at the beginning of the next school year. So there'll been a lot of work done, but most of what's going to be done immediately is going to be site work, drilling wells, that kind of stuff. So it's not like we're going to have a groundbreaking and there's like a building already there. It really will kind of be marking sort of the beginning, but that'll be our ceremonial kind of kickoff right when the kids come back on September 5th. I tried to start looking at guest lists of like who we would want to invite, sort of an agenda, kind of some of the stuff we might want to do. So if you have any thoughts, like we're trying to build some of this off some samples that other schools have done, obviously. One of the recent ones that they did was Worcester. Worcester was possibly long because they invited everyone that's there. So we're trying to kind of look at some different ones that are more comparable. But if you have any, I guess this is just sort of, for your information, this is in the planning stages, but if you have any specific ideas, concerns, thoughts, things that you think like, oh, we should make sure we invite this person, or oh, it'd be nice to so-and-so can speak, or whatever, let me know, as we're kind of starting to formulate this program, and then we'll be getting invitations out, hopefully relatively soon, so it's going to sneak up on us pretty quick. Click Middle School Surfacing Scheme and Design, there's a little packet in here. And so this is stuff that's still kind of in its development phase, so it hasn't been like officially approved yet. But what you can see is kind of on the third page, you can see some of the green and gold looking things for the playground surfacing that'll go there, for the right outside of the 4th grade wing there. So we were looking at kind of those colors, those structures. Those structures are kind of identified through committee feedback. They all serve like specific purposes. And then the next page, that green and gold with the gray shows the proposed coloring of the basketball courts.
When I put it on that,
It is not right now. But one of the things that we will discuss probably. Those courts in the middle are designed to be pickleball courts. We did actually receive an email about some concerns about possibly the noise from pickleball courts over there. So one of the things that we actually are working on right now is believe it or not, the tennis courts. The current tennis courts are slated to be, they're already in works to be resurfaced this summer. So I've been working with Brian Farragher and Jen Golden on, is it possible to potentially just when we resurface those to put a couple pickleball court lines there, so that if people are playing pickleball after hours on the weekend or something, it's not near the residential area.
Is there anything through the MIA that says that you cannot?
No,
if it's,
she reached
okay,
through
good.
that,
Yeah,
so
just
they
like if it's a official place you're having a school event, is that acceptable for matches?
Yeah, so we got a word on that. It is, as long as they want the tennis courts to be the white lines.
Okay.
And that whatever the other court would be an alternate color. And they ask that you try to orient the courts so that there's not like, two lines like right next to each other, so you can still see, the differences. And the other thing we talked about too is potentially, I think there's 4 courts over there, that if we were going to put them, maybe only put them on like 2 of the courts, so you could still have 2 courts of
sounds good.
We're talking about passing it on with
Yeah.
costuming, I think we should consider it.
Yep, and I think, and probably we should have the most current cost estimate tomorrow at the meeting, depending on how that's tracking, that might be something that, to bring up. I know one of the things that's still kind of hanging out there was, I think the town had approved some money at one point to put those signs, and they were gonna put one up here. And I think they ran into, I think talking to, Phil Duffy, that there were a couple of locations they looked where it fell within they either fell within the, National Grid right away, or there was difficulty with getting power to it, or something along those lines. There was something that, so we gotta, I also wanna check on the status of that project too,
Sure.
because if the town's gonna put up a full-size sign, we don't necessarily need to put another full-size sign 50 feet away from it. But if that's not gonna exist, I agree, I think the larger the sign, the better.
Oh, yeah, and if we can take the benefit of maybe having it not be right where the middle school is, but pushing it out towards where the mutual entry is, maybe instead of saying the middle school is as Clinton Education Campus or what have you, Portsmouth, however you like. And now you've got multiple uses for like the thing happening at the high school, things happening at the middle school, there's any closures, and you get maximum utility out of that investment.
Yeah. So I think we have to see, I think we still want something that would clearly identify where you enter
Sure.
middle school, especially with that.
And also ask if it's possible to keep masks on the students.
Okay. So this,
I don't know what, there may be a problem. Just, whatever.
yep.
No pun intended.
All right, so the next sheets in here, I just kind of snuck these ones in sort of at the last minute. Trying to see if they didn't necessarily, well, they kind of were. So, if you see on the first one, there's the green outline where the new building will be. If you see that one. Immediately to the left of like the green building, if you go over, there's like a red line or an orange line or something that kind of traces the old building and then goes around the parking lot there. That's going to be that's going to be where they're going to kind of be fencing off starting like Wednesday. So that it'll be blocked there, because they got to block it that far back so that they can build sort of like their temporary entrance road and get the utilities through and that kind of stuff. So it'll be like that for a little while over the summer, and then prior to the school year starting, it's hard to tell because the old building's missing on the next one, but prior to the school year starting, the fence will be pushed back so that the parent group is part of it. So what you're going to have immediately, starting literally like Wednesday, is the construction zone itself is going to literally be bounded by the back and the gym side of the school. So there will be little sort of barricades isn't a good word, maybe like signage with like cones and temporary fences and stuff that will be out right outside all those exits on those two sides of the building, so people know not to go out there. But they met with they did meet with the new building inspector to make sure that the blockade they're putting up is still enough that like in the event of a true emergency you could push through it if like the building was on fire. But they're not too worried about it because we shouldn't be anywhere near capacity in that building. We don't need to evacuate 600 kids because it would be that'll all be backed off by the time school starts. So I did send a message out on Sunday reminding people that tomorrow's the last day of school. I also tried to sneak in there that just asking people to just be careful of changing traffic patterns. When you come up there this summer, it'll be a little bit I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be on a day-to-day basis as they kind of work on sort of the temporary entrance. So for a while you might come in and sort of move back out and came in. And then, like I said, the goal is by the time school starts next year, the fence fence will be set back enough so that we can still go back to a kind of path.
Yeah, summer programs use it for the school. They all use the high school.
Some of them do, so we have tried to minimize it, and then that's one of the other things we're gonna talk about, but, we had a meeting on Wednesday at the building with the, people will be on site. But we talked about making sure that they try to use the main entrance for any of those, and then like walk in the building to where they need to go instead of kind of getting dropped off all around. We are gonna let, Fontaine use the, industrial arts room over there. It's got direct access to outside, as sort of a temporary office until they can get the utilities hooked up and get the construction trailer on site. And once the construction trailer's on site, they'll move out of that.
And is there still plans to put that temporary like parking lot way in the back corner when they start? Or they were talking about that, like this place where they kept utility vehicles?
Yes, I believe that's still the plan for doing the construction phase, for this beginning phase, obviously, until
Sure.
they get that done. They will be using some of our parking in the summer. We went over that in the meeting too, to try to have them park, if they can, park down that end and if possible over there, so that if we are moving traffic there, it's not responsible. But it shouldn't be a ton of vehicles, early, because it's gonna be, a lot of the early work is gonna be a couple drill rigs just out there, going away, and that's also, but it's crazy to think that it's gonna become real, like,
Here.
Wednesday. So
Yeah,
we get
here.
people on site to do stuff, so,
So,
yeah. So I'll be up there Wednesday morning to meet with them, and that should be rolling. All right, in your packet, there's also a draft school committee schedule. This schedule, for the most part, mirrors, last year. I just try to make the date accommodations and go through the schedule, and if there's like a holiday fell differently or something. But last year and this year were pretty similar in terms of impacts on our meetings. And there's a couple little, one of the things we tried to do is like May 4th and May 18th. We tried to celebrate doing the students of the month and the retirees. I think those on 2 different nights instead of one, just because we end up, you know that when we do a retiree one, always conflicts with the adult ed graduation, so we figured if we can split that up, then we can have better seating. There might be a couple other things that we're tweaking, for the most part, that's what it is, so, I don't know if anyone has any, if you have major conflicts with this or concerns about the meeting dates. We don't need to set all these now. The next meeting is scheduled for July 14th. We can approve it then. If you guys want to double check your calendar or go through it and see if you have any questions or concerns. I guess the last thing I had on mine was just a end of year wrap up. There's nothing really prepared for that, but tomorrow is obviously the last day. We met with the admin team today. We kind of did a little reflecting on this year, and I think there was a lot going on this year. When you sit and you kind of reflect and you think about all the things with the new building, contract negotiations, and the high school getting the innovation pathways designation, and some other stuff like that. There's a lot, with a new principal. Like, forget about some of that by the time you get to the end of the year, right? Like, it's not new anymore, right? So, so it's so overall, like every year has its challenges, and every year has those days where you're going crazy. But I think overall it was a positive year, and we've already started thinking about a lot for next year and what we need to do, we want to do to improve, and we'll really start that process out. We're meeting. So 8 o'clock, I'm meeting at the middle school on Wednesday to meet with the construction guys, and then at 9 o'clock we have an admin meeting all morning to really just focus on what we need to do this summer, and want to just get the ball rolling for all the plans we have for next year. Now we're in what we need to do. So, I guess that's about all I have. So overall, it was a good year, and it comes to close tomorrow.
Before I jump into my report, I'm going to hand out some virtual flowers. First wanted to congratulate Jane Fitzgerald on her run for school committee. We're happy to have her, familiar face in the school system, and someone that I did some work with for field trips. And
Yes, you saw me my best ever.
I did, and you kept me in line when we needed to be in line too. So welcome,
Thank
welcome,
you.
congratulations. Congratulations to Mr. Connolly on his run to select board and his return to select board. We've been privileged to have him here and helped us through some very strategic opportunities with the building and the school committee. And we'll see where his future brings as far as this board goes. Congratulations. So, and I wasn't here at the last meeting, so I do want to congratulate Steve on his new contract. We're so pleased to be able to extend Steve in the work that he's been doing. I think when you look at the landscape of superintendents and just school executives and admin in general, like there's a lot out there that folks are looking for good people, and I think we have a great one here, and we're happy to keep him tied up for a little bit longer. And, thank you for everything he does for us.
But we own it for 6 more years.
6 more years, right? in lifetime, if Bill had his way. So extend that anytime. Congratulations, Steve. As far as committee reassignments, I think that's something we could probably start to work our way through as the dust settles and the committee sort of lands where we will be for the near future. So, Jane, if there's any particular advisory committees that would be of interest to you, happy to hear about that, because we don't have to plug you in where PAMGAW was. We've moved around in the past, so if there are things that interest you, we want to make sure we have alignment with things you're interested in, and we can talk about that and sort of regroup as a team on what that will look like moving forward.
I think the full list of them is last page of your packet. I think there's a full list of what we're looking on. Probably, hopefully, don't need a CTA negotiation subcommittee next year.
Correct.
So,
And then, Kelly, thank you for sending the soft copy of Steve's self-evaluation, as well as the document for us to complete his evaluation. We do have that. We're in the process of working on that as a team, and we'll ensure that it's completed. And I'll make sure that it goes back to the central office. Kelly, that go a couple weeks ago, right?
I'm sorry.
The soft copy we got about a couple weeks ago. I can forward it to you if you want. I'm sure you have it.
I'm sure I have it too.
You just have to become a bed and figure out what it is. And negotiations. Phil, did you have anything to update on just where we are on the last group of folks, you and Steve?
I mean, Unit B is all done.
Yeah.
So you guys were on that one, they voted, so they did approve, so that's all set. At IA's we met today, we're not done, everything. Close.
Do we have anything under old business?
We met with the wellness subcommittee last week. I know she said, I was used to send it out, so I don't get a lot of data. They are going to have a feed again this summer. Beth was talking. They're going to do one acre now?
Yeah, so right now I think it's scheduled, the way the proposal was set up, to have one summer feeding site at the acre. We talked with the wellness committee about maybe trying to do a survey. I haven't done the survey yet for it, so we'll work on that. We want to get that out just to see if there was any other locations that we could maybe identify in town to help make it more accessible.
They're also feeding at all the camps too.
Right, they do all the meals for anyone that's in the summer enrichment, the Parks and Rec summer playground, the summer school, the extended school year program. And was good. That was one of the things, one of the main focuses of that wellness meeting, because whether there was going to be funding for summer feeding was a little iffy at the last piece, so.
Anything under new business?
I got something with there done, or want me to go?
I was just going to comment on saying a couple weeks ago, I know that Dr. Meyer and Scott Zerback were huddling up at 7:50 in the morning to try to make a call on graduation. It's the worst possible place to ever find yourself in, when there's clouds in the air and raindrops to dodge. And no matter what you do, someone's going to see you decide the wrong thing. But as I walked around the park after graduation, which was a fabulous ceremony, we did dodge some raindrops. I heard a lot from the kids about how excited and appreciative pump they were outside. So it's a little bit of a gamble. But I think we made the right decision. And like I said, there was going to be no right decision for the masses no matter what we did. But kudos to you guys for taking the extra effort, looking at the radar, trying to figure out what their pocket was. You guys rearranged the whole agenda to maybe cut some things out in favor of the kids getting what we thought they would want. So I think it's just great leadership and collaboration around the event that we want the best for the kids. So thank you for that.
It's 5:45.
So they're 7:15 when I called. 7:15 when I called them.
That was one of the most impressive calls I've seen in my entire.
Well,
The timing was, I don't know how you got so close to the drizzle spot, because we were halfway out of the town hall, and it came back right at the end of your speech.
this close to being a total disaster to me, so I'm gonna take on you again, I guess. I was gonna say, I also wanted to compliment the high school and Principal Cermak, and particularly his work that I know Katie Ball was here talking about the innovation pathway designation that we got. We were literally informed today, 10:53, that we've been recommending to get the early college program designation as well. So that's a good one, and the official vote for it will be on Wednesday the 18th at 3 o'clock. They recommended us for approval, so they're inviting us there, so I'm guessing they don't plan on voting us down, which is so that was good. And I guess the one other thing I would share is that we did get we did get an email about some parents that were inquiring about 8th grade Washington DC trip in 2027. I did reach out to the neighboring district to try to get some of their information, particularly some of their cost information. So most of it might be any cheaper in DC, but you know, I don't know the best approach that you know, the school committee would like to handle. I'm happy to maybe meet with a parent, talk about, you know, some of what we've sort of seen as challenges and see what they want to do, if you want me to set something up, or if you want to do it like parents with a school committee meeting, if there's an agenda items, or just a public comment. So there's
Yeah, I mean, I think any dialogue that we can have that can bring back what I feel are great experiences for the kids. I had one child that was able to go through and do 8th grade in Washington DC in 6th grade, and help me, what's the name of the program?
Nature's Classroom.
Thank you, Nature's Classroom, of which both went really, really well, and I had one daughter who missed out on both of those things. I think we've returned to travel in the high school, and I think, you know, Paul Zapantis and a lot of those teachers have done a great job putting these programs together. I understand they fall on primarily on vacation time, so there's no lost learning involved. But I think anything we can continue the dialogue to bring it back up. I think it's something that is vital to the experience from my perspective. Thoughts?
No, but I think he's pointing to me. If I remember correctly, fundraising started.
right, and that's
Sure.
and that's why they're reaching out now. Because
Right,
they said
yeah.
they, you know, they realize that, like, you know, if you don't reach, if we don't kind of, if someone has to get the ball rolling for a few years down the road, by the time people are like, hey, there's no trip, it's like, well, we can't pull it off in 3 months. You know, so.
Yeah, so they might.
All right, maybe I'll start by meeting with this parent, because it seems that there might be another group, like this parent might be the spokesperson for some others, maybe offer to meet with them, and then maybe just sort of, I can share some of what have been maybe some of our concerns as you look at the logistics of the trip, and share some of the feedback I got from another district, and then see what their thoughts are, what their thinking is, and see what might be appropriate.
And I forgot Julie Nataro, so congratulations. Thank you, Julie Nataro, for all her work planning. Congratulations. I know she was running around
And
the
I
office.
felt
I don't want to forget
bad.
that.
I felt bad because our program was always kind of like traditionally sort of set up in a certain way, and it didn't necessarily go in exact order of the program, right? And so I kind of like made some comment about that. So this year she made it she very deliberately made sure that the program followed the agenda, And then we went and changed the agenda on her, and I felt bad, so, she did do a nice job, and she was good at just, rolling with everything, so.
I want to see a motion for adjourn. All in favor? Good, thank you.